Today is Saturday, December 7th, 2024. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 47, Week 12.
I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is possibly the best episode we've had in the new era. That's my take on it right now. I know there's huge recency bias, things like that, but watching that series of events come together,
I still feel a little shocked.
Yeah.
I really didn't think that was going to happen.
I've had a smile on my face thinking about getting all the feedback this week and getting together to share it and trying to think about what the next step is, because I'm not sure there's a clear-cut path going forward. It's brilliant in its execution and the result, the immediate result, but how things go from here, I don't know. So I'm looking forward to hearing some other superfans' take on that.
Is that why you've been a little cheerier?
I've been a little cheerier? Okay.
Yeah.
That's such a backhanded thing to do because it's a dig inside of a observational comment.
It wasn't meant as a dig,
yeah.
But I thought,
hey, you're looking thinner. Hey, you're looking better. Oh, I understand the spirit that you intended it in.
Okay. Well, I was thinking, and I thought, oh yeah, he has been, because we've had a few things weighing us down.
Sure.
And you have been a little lighter the last few days.
Okay.
And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, less is more.
That's true.
Well, I'm anxious to hear the other fans and check in with them. Is there anything we need to cover before we kick it off?
I don't believe so.
All right.
Other than just, we'll say it again at the end, but if you have to, jump out before the end, 2 vote-offs this week.
That's right. You get to pick 2 vote-offs if you're playing in our fantasy league.
That's it.
Okay, let's kick it off with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow. Coming off of the eve of a wonderful Thanksgiving that I had and all that's gone on, all I could say is, holy cow, baby, digging this season, and I'm letting out a great big and the Caroline. Even though you could see Caroline did not see that coming, but she went out gracefully, though, and not bitter. Even gave credit to Andy, too. This is the first time this season, going back to episode 1, when Andy had that traumatic experience where it looked like he was going to quit. I'm giving him credit this time. Working with the 2 on the outs, his old buddy Sam and Cuckoo Genevieve there, and somehow, some way, that fake idol, it worked, but the bigger thing was getting those women to split the vote with Genevieve and Sam, and Andy committing to them by blindsiding Caroline to finally get rid of the duo of her and Sue. Unreal. I really did not think it was going to work. Genevieve laid it out perfectly in that confessional leading up to Tribal of all the scenarios that could go wrong. Somehow it worked out, and Sam and Genevieve lived to see the final 6 for part 1 of the finale. Insane. And speaking of which, guys, kudos to Rachel. Now, she she might be, with Kyle gone last week, she's probably the next biggest threat to win. She's won 2 challenges in a row. I think she's likable socially. Her strategy has been solid too. She's working with those women, been working with Andy, and I could see the jury voting for her at the end for sure. I mean, I don't know really who could win right now. Sue, it's fair to say, got 0 shot. Andy has really climbed the mountain, in my opinion. Teeny has been an emotional wreck, and I don't think anyone on the jury would respect her game unless she owns it. That was her strategy, being emotional, because she's done nothing. She hasn't won a challenge. And Sam and Genevieve are the 2 that have an outside chance, in my opinion, going into this part 1 finale. But it's anyone's game. And speaking of which, guys, I thought of Italy when I saw the title of the episode and that reward challenge there. Glad Sam won. He can't win immunity, but he does win rewards, though. And I think he had to take Genevieve with him. Maybe it would have been better to take Teeny, but that might have been miserable for him and Genevieve. It was smart, as it turned out, that he took Andy, leading to the blind side and the fake idol. Oh, boy, we're in for a fun 2-part finale. To me, this has been the best season so far of the new era. This is season 47. I'm truly digging it, guys. Great job by Andy. I gotta hear what Caroline's interview. One thing is, does she wish she pushed harder by having Sue play the idol for her? Sue wanted to, but never played it. I wonder if Caroline regrets that, or she thought Andy was with them. I will check out her interviews tomorrow and the Probes podcast. Take care, guys. Love it. Woo!
Whoa. Thanks, Pete. In her interviews, a 4th member of the Operation Italy Alliance appeared. It turns out it was Caroline herself. She aggressively told Sue and Rachel not to play the idol, not to play the advantage on her behalf.
Because
she unwittingly was a key member of her own demise.
Okay.
Yeah, she was confident. She did have she wasn't oblivious to how things could go wrong. She understood how things could play, but she said she really wanted to give that to Andy. So it's the CFA.
Well, boy, did she.
It's the Clap for Andy event again, in that they wanted him to feel like he had agency in their 5-person underdog alliance.
So
and so he wanted to split.
Off.
Yes, exactly. It went
so
bad for her. Yes.
Yeah, well, good on Andy. Ovation.
I guess it's part of it is a byproduct of his day 3 meltdown. And because they're coddling him to some degree in terms of the game, and they were trying to make sure that he didn't get his feelings hurt, that he thought he was an active member of their alliance, even though they targeted him to go after Sam and Genevieve were gone. They just thought, well, let's give him that moment. And that was the missing piece of the puzzle at the end of the episode that we were talking about in the recap. What happened? How did they not just do what was in their best interest? And it's because they were trying to do something for Andy. It's worth reading, worth watching the interviews. And just in case you're not aware, there's show notes with every episode of the podcast here. And in the listener feedback show notes, I'll include links to a couple of the interviews, a deleted scene, an extra scene, things like that, so that you can get a little more insight into what was going on.
And he does that every week in the listener feedback show notes.
Right, yes. Yeah, there's always links to the roster, links to the JSFL page, things like that. Those are always there too.
Yeah.
Where you can find the podcast on YouTube and Spotify and iTunes and all that good stuff. Okay, good deal. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Christiana.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Christiana from Massachusetts calling in with my feedback for this week's episode. I just finished the episode on Saturday morning. I haven't listened to the recap yet, so apologies for any redundancies. But wow, that was amazing. I love most about Survivor the psychological warfare of it all. The thought about where you are in the game, where other people are, where other people think you are, perceptions of perceptions. I think it's fascinating. And this episode episode was a perfect example of that. Andy's plan, while also executed by Sam and Genevieve, was brilliant. To bring a 2 and then a 3-person alliance up against a 4 alliance, convince them to split the vote, sow that seed of confusion, was, like Genevieve said, for it to actually go the way that they wanted it to go, so many pieces had to fall into place, including Rachel not playing the block of vote, which I thought was interesting and would have completely blown up that plan. And I can't believe they pulled it off. Good for them. And I thought, too, when they panned to the jury, and I think it was Saul that was like, oh, that was Andy. But the way he said it, I don't know, maybe this was just my view, but I thought it was said in a negative way of like, oh, here's Andy flip-flopping again. And is that working against him? Even though the plan was very strategic, very manipulative, very good Survivor playing. It just shows that every move in Survivor has a con, and depending on what the jury is like valuing, maybe that con outweighs the pro. I don't know. But I thought it was a great plan because also like the 4 women in the Underdog Alliance, Andy is the 5th in that 5-person alliance, I think. So good for him for flipping. I cannot believe they executed the move. Good for them. Sam and Genevieve lived to play another day. And then I had another question about the letters from home, used to be the loved ones visit challenge, and apologies if you covered this already in the recap. But I just feel like in this era of Survivor, there is an understanding that it's not personal. I mean, it is inherently personal because you are taking away that opportunity for someone to connect with their loved ones from home. And we saw that last season with like Maria as the only person with little kids, and she was so hurt by it, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. It's just, look, it's still an opportunity to play the game, and the winner is going to play the game on their terms, and they get to do that because they won the challenge. If you wanted it on your terms, you should have won the challenge. Bingo. And as Rachel said too, at this point, I thought people don't even want to win that challenge because it does create such animosity. So I could not believe the way Teenie was reacting. It was so just immature, honestly. And truly, this is her villain origin story. I feel like she was being so mean, and the other 3 of them were definitely like supporting her in her tirade, but weren't echoing that. And I don't know. It just felt very Survivor 1.0. I was confused if this is something that people still get upset about. They understand it's part of the game, and he did what's best for his game. And you might not think it was best for his game, but guess what? It worked out very well in Sam's favor. Looking forward to hearing what other people have to say. This has been such a good season, and I'm excited for the finale. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Christiana.
I felt like Teenie was
this was true Teenie as far as I'm concerned.
A child or a young teenager with the whole jealousy reaction,
Drama.
having a hissy fit, as I would call it.
Yeah.
Just, it was a tantrum. I think Caroline and the others were kind of feeding it. Let her go. Let her, bring her to our side.
You don't want to get in your enemy's way when they're...
Stay with us.
When they're losing.
Right. They're terrible.
Yes. Absolutely. I think they say you just can't hide in these conditions in the game. Eventually, the true self will come out. Parts of you will be revealed. Now, they can frame it in a multitude of ways that don't reflect your reality or even the reality of what happened. There are tricks that can be done with editing that are very deceptive, but eventually true parts of you come out. And if you're the type of person who perhaps is regularly swirling in drama, and I think that's what we saw in Teenie. It's a drama-seeking personality, and it was there, and they fully engaged in the drama.
I thought one thing that I look back on that really set it up for me to just not think it was going to happen was Genevieve giving that whole rundown of everything that whoever took her into confessional and got that from her, kudos.
She's been delivering as a narrator.
Yes.
All season long. She is a magnificent narrator.
Absolutely. And kudos
Top
to
level.
her for laying it out like that ahead of time.
Yeah.
So at that point that she is very strategic. She is thinking it all the way through to not just what could go right, but every little thing that could go wrong.
Yeah.
And I have to give it to the 3 of them. They executed it perfectly.
And now the silent partner, number 4, who unwittingly helped that all, pushed
Yeah,
it right
yeah.
into the goal there with Caroline.
Yep, because they couldn't. All it would have taken was let Rachel use it. Let
Yeah.
her steal it.
Or
All she had to do was
stack the votes.
Take that vote away from either one of Sam or Genevieve.
That-
Of course, they didn't know Andy, but if they took one of their votes, they could not have done it.
Yeah. Didn't want to hurt little Andy's feelings
And if Sue had played the idol,
the way she
it
wanted
would
to.
have failed.
Said she wanted to multiple times
Yes,
to protect
I
Caroline.
want to protect you. I want to protect
Yes.
you.
And Caroline said, no.
No. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna show Andy.
Yes.
We're gonna make him feel good, and it's his plan. And well, Pop.
Let him know that he's seen and heard. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now clap for Andy. Good
Well,
stuff.
Andy can clap for himself and pat himself on the back too, because that was quite the move.
Christiana touched on it, and I think some other people are going to talk about it a little bit too, is that it all comes down to what does the jury value? You and I were kind of going back and forth. What Saul said, did that mean? Is that negative, or was that a positive? Was that
I
praise?
thought negative. You thought positive.
I thought it might possibly be positive, especially because he was having that conversation with Gabe. Gabe's a big game player, and they would be talking about it maybe differently than some other people might in terms of what the significance of it was, and being able to step back and look at it overall. But the thing that the editors are usually just superior at is not letting us know what it is the jury is valuing. And not only that, not even knowing what the tribes are, how they're setting up the criteria for success for that season, because every season's different, and the game changes every time someone gets voted out. It's different in terms of what those success factors, what they're looking for in a survivor winner, what they're considering as the game progresses.
Well, that's what the edit's all about.
Thanks again, Christiana. Next up, we got an email from Tara in New York. Hello again, everyone. What an incredible episode. I never thought I'd be so excited to both lose a save point and watch my USB implode, but wow. Production using Ocean's 11 as a template for Operation Italy was so exciting. I went back, and when we rewatched the episode, I was looking at the cuts and the edit and all the side-by-sides and the dissolves and the fades, the jumps that they were using. So I know what I have a better sense of what they're talking about when they're talking about that Ocean's 11 look at, the crew putting together the heist. It could have been hokey if executed poorly, but I was on the edge of my seat. We were right there with you. Teeny. It was pretty scary to watch Sue seem like the rational one when Sam brought Andy and Genevieve to the reward. On a side note, Stacy, your dirty little goblin description of Sue was the funniest thing I've heard all week. I think I borrowed that from someone else. I've listened to it at least 3 times, and it still cracks me up. Back to my USB teeny, though. It was embarrassing to watch her tank her game in such spectacular fashion. She even tweeted something out to that effect, very self-effacing, that she understood that was not a good look for her. What the heck did Sam do to her to make her hate him so much all of a sudden? That's coming from somewhere else. That's a lot of other baggage. He's just on the receiving end right now.
Well, you even heard her say, "Do I hate all men?"
Right. Also, I think her big tantrum may have hyped up the 4 girls way too much. It did have an effect. They were all so confident and ready for revenge, they never even saw what was coming. As for Operation Italy, I think it was one of the most perfectly executed, intricate plans I've seen on Survivor. It's in the history books now, for sure. Everything had to go just right, and amazingly did. Usually something goes wrong or someone gets cold feet at the last minute. I can't believe Sue didn't play the idol either. It was stunning. At first, I thought this move was crazy for Andy, but I've changed my mind. He's a huge super fan, and I think for him, it was go big or go home. He knows that he's been perceived as a GOAT. Whether he goes home next or continues on to somehow pull out a win, he will be remembered for this move, no doubt.
You know that's why they highlighted his meltdown early on.
Well, I don't.
It got a lot of coverage.
It does.
He got a lot of coverage.
It does, and it rolled into the next episode even with the clap for Andy moment. But they built on it. I'll say that. I mean, I think he delivered that, and they've certainly built on it. Yes. Whether he goes home next or continues on to somehow pull out a win, he will be remembered for this move. Indeed. When he brought up the plan to Sam and Genevieve, he told them that this could be the defining conversation and night of this game. He reminded me very much of David Wright at that moment. David has never won, but is an iconic player to many. I'm hoping to see David again in season 50, and now I won't be surprised to see Andy there as well. I hadn't even gone that far in my thinking, but yeah, I guess so. Maybe I'm way off base, but I actually thought Jeff hinted at that during his podcast this week. As for next week, I think Andy will try to flip back to the other side, but I'd be scared for my life around Sue and Teeny if I were in his position. I'd love to hear if you all think he can survive this move. If he can, I think it will be Sam and Genevieve going next. Rachel still looks like she's in the best spot to win, and I love her chances, but who knows what could happen at this point. The season just keeps getting better. I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts after such a crazy episode. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, as always, for all you do. Thank you, Tara. Good job. Yeah, I could see them not focusing on Andy because that sort of clap for Andy, let's make him feel seen, let's make him feel heard, tells me they don't value him in the scope of the game. I think it's very likely that they continue to focus on Sam and Genevieve, and Andy is even potentially less of a consideration now.
Why is that?
Because like I said, they don't value him. They're going to have a story about how they made that possible.
Well, but they might value him a little more and his strategic abilities more now than they did. Certainly, I would think so, unless they're not going to give him the credit.
Right. And what if they don't? They just tell him straight up. It comes back to what is the jury managing? It would be, yeah, Andy, sure. Do you know why that happened the way it happened? It's because Caroline was so adamant that you feel included. And she went out of her way to say, don't play the idol on me. Don't play the block a vote.
And he would say, all part of my strategy.
Sure, yeah. Knock yourself out.
I've been working for that all along, and it came in handy.
Yeah.
Who knows?
There's definitely, it sort of depends on how well you can suss out what the jury's going to value. And if you got to spin for him, you may not even, I guess the even smarter play is to not even say it to him. So then you don't even give him that moment. Lots of good things to think about. Thanks, Tara. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. Wow, what a great episode of Survivor. This is not only my favorite episode this season, but very likely it's my favorite episode of the new era entirely. It was jam-packed with everything we love about Survivor. There's strategy and gamesmanship, so many different potential outcomes and possibilities. I lost my USB and a save point, and I'm not even mad. That's how much I enjoyed this episode. We had no idea if Operation Italy would actually work, if Andy would stick with the plan, would Sue play her idol for Caroline, would Rachel's block a vote come into play. It left the vote a complete mystery, and it made things really exciting. I think this week a common theme in listener feedback will be how much people's perception of Andy has changed. And Andy is just such an enigma when he comes to Survivor. He's so hard to peg because at times he's appeared completely clueless and lackluster physically, while other times showing very good strategic chops and decent strength in the game. Just imagine if his weird meltdown early in the season was pure strategy to lower his threat level in the game. I doubt that it was, but regardless, it has certainly produced that exact desired effect because nobody's even seriously considered getting rid of him, aside from Genevieve throwing his name out there in desperation. Overall, I think Andy's a fairly good Survivor player. He's intelligent, but his social game is lacking, and I think that became apparent last week when he was trying to convince people to keep Kyle, and he was just using numbers. I think a better social player would have known how to appeal to people better than just simply stating statistics. With the reward challenge this week, I was a bit surprised that Sam didn't pick Teeny. I thought she was the smart pick because Genevieve's on the bottom will likely vote with him no matter what, so why not pull Teeny in? But obviously he made the right decision. And like you guys have already pointed out, this is a really rough episode for Teeny. I know people get upset when they don't get picked for rewards, especially when it comes to loved one letters and stuff, but I just thought her behavior on TV was just really tough to watch. I think her assessment of Sam was unfair, and she came across as really unkind and kind of a man-hater. And I don't think that's representative of who she is outside the game, so hopefully people cut her a bit of slack. Did anyone else think that when Andy got his love letter that there's a chance that it might have just been a computer AI written letter to him? I thought that might happen, but I'm glad it came from a human. So how do I see the rest of the game playing out? Well, I still think Rachel's the clear front runner to win, but I think Andy can actually get the win too. I think Sam and Genevieve have potential, but I think Sue and Teeny do not. I think that Rachel's obviously going to be targeted next week, but she's got an idol. She has her block of vote. And I think that block of vote with 6 people in the game is going to be really powerful. So I think it comes down to who does Rachel want to get rid of next week. And I think it's going to be pivotal how Andy and Teeny sort of vote and who they vote with in the next couple votes. So anyway, that's it for my feedback. I look forward to hearing all the other fans' predictions, and I'll talk to you guys next week. You guys just take care.
Excellent. Thanks, Robert. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm sitting here, every time I hear somebody, I have a new series of thoughts running through about it. So enjoyed that. Good stuff. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Putain, quel épisode. Je suis si couille. Oh my goodness. What a great episode. I'm still completely shook. Hi, it's Rebecca calling from Northern California. No, not Northern California. Oahu. Just got to Oahu. I am very tired. I am very, very tired and overworked and just did all my intense French exams, everything hitting at once. But I made sure to watch Survivor on Wednesday night, even though I had to, at the last second, download Peacock because my YouTube TV would not play on my computer in Oahu, and I could not miss Survivor. And I'm so glad I didn't. Now, I'm pretty sure I lost a safe point. I can't quite remember at this point. It's all a blur. But I love that Andy, oh my goodness, Andy turned the game around. And the fact that I saw the jury go, oh my God, he flipped again. I don't think he's going to win. I don't think they're going to let him get into the final. It's all out now that he is a flipper and he betrayed everybody. But how brilliant was it? He had such an amazing plan, and that was all him. When Sam won the reward challenge with the loved one letters and he picked Andy to go, I saw the writing on the wall. Okay, he's going to try to flip Andy. And then when he picked Genevieve to go with him, I said, okay, I see what's happening. The two of them are going to work on him. And that it was Andy who already had a plan and put it in motion and sold it to all the girls. It was all him. If he could get to the end, if I was on the jury, I would totally vote for him because that was a brilliant, big, huge, bold move, and slow clap for Andy. So sad to see Caroline go. She was so sweet. I love the part where she said she would happily sit next to any of the women. You don't see that kind of sportsmanship on Survivor very much, but they all, I thought somebody was going to smell a rat, but they trusted Andy. Again, brilliant gameplay on his part. I don't think I could have lied to so many people so well. He did a great job. It's going to be interesting next week. I know we've got 2 people who are going to be voted off. I know Rachel has her block a vote. So the 4 girls could still stay in a tight alliance and take out those 3. It's going to be very interesting to see if anybody else flips. It's going to come down to who wins immunity. Sam has been very close to immunity more than once. It's going to be an interesting game. I am exhausted and I might take a nap now. Jet lag, overworked, overschooled, over everything. But I've got a couple months here and we will settle in and it should be very lovely. Thank you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy. And what a great episode. I still really want Genevieve to be voted out. She bugs me. But maybe it will happen next week. Okay, thank you. Bye. Aloha.
Aloha.
You sound like Parker.
Yeah, you're going to get 2 chances for that to come true. So I'd say there's a decent chance. I love that they set it up as a showdown between Genevieve and Rachel. I like that face-off kind of moment they did on Next Time on Survivor. I'm just concerned because they weren't actually, whoever said that wasn't saying that while they were both standing there on the beach. That was seemed like more of a static shot. Yeah. That it was all manufactured.
Right.
But I like the idea of it.
Want us to think.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks, Rebecca. Next up, we got an email from Becca in South Carolina.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, Survivor fans. At the beginning of the episode, Sue said that Kyle was all right at first, but kept getting more and more annoying as time went on. It's weird because she was talking about Kyle, but actually described my family's feelings about her.
Yeah, ditto.
Also, I don't feel like we've ever seen a Survivor contestant as caked in dirt as Sue is. I wonder if she's afraid of the water or has some sort of skin condition that a quick dip would cause to flare up. I love the Ocean's 11 vibe as Sam, Genevieve, and Andy made their plan for Operation Italy, and it was so cool to see them pull it off. We were all back and forth, will they or won't they, for the rest of the episode and on the edge of our seats at Tribal.
It's like we were watching together.
Yeah. We think the target may be shifting from Sam and Genevieve to Andy now that he has gone against the underdogs and has a pretty impressive move and potential Oscar nomination under his belt. When they showed the little montage of Andy from earlier in the season, my kids pointed out that he has grown so much. I thought they just meant his game until Liam said, it looks like he has gone through puberty out there.
From that fresh, plump face to the thinner face with all the facial hair. Yeah.
We're a house divided when it comes to who we'd like to win. We're at 2 Sam, 1 Genevieve, and 1 Andy. And
I love that.
And we're hopeful that somehow they all make it through another tribal in spite of all the block a vote and immunity idols available to work against them. Take care, everybody. All right. Thanks, Becca.
Yeah, awesome.
Up next, we have a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all my Survivor friends. What an exciting episode this was. I just loved it, and the best was when Rachel won the immunity. I was just cheering her on so much. Look, Andy's come such a long way. He was so interesting and he was so smart in this. But sadly, I don't think he should have gone with Genevieve and Sam, because now he has painted a big target on his back, and I think he'll be the next one to go, then followed by Genevieve, because he has flip-flopped and now the girls know that he sold them out. Still saying that it was a very clever plan and it played out beautifully. I was sad to see Caroline, but I wasn't much invested in her, is what I can say. I just can't wait for the next 2 episodes, and in my opinion, I think it's going to be Andy and then Genevieve and Teeny. And I think in the end, it's going to be Sue, Sam, and Rachel will win. And I will be happy. I don't think I'll be too happy to see Sam win. Sorry. Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping for. And I don't think Sue's going to get a lot of votes. Saying that, I do miss the days when they had the final show and everybody came and all the contestants came and they were dressed up so nicely and they'd put on their weight back and all. And it would be nice, because it won't be very nice to see the final 3 and Sue sitting with soot on her face. So yes, I'm looking forward to the next episode. And yes, I did love the immunity challenge. That was good, and she has steady hands, Rachel. Well done. So that's all for me this time. Looking forward to hearing what everybody else has to say. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy. Bye for now.
Thank you, Rajmi. Good job. That reminded me, and Becca's comment too, but when Rajmi said suet, Caroline said in her interview that the reason that, she said first, look, I told her that she had dirt on her face. But really, what I think it was all the soot, because she was always tending the fire. And she would get the soot from the fire, the charcoal, all over her in that process. And it was really, really hard to get it off.
She said they tried. Mm-hmm. They really tried, and they tried to help her get it off, but the soot just...
And then she said, okay, never mind. It wasn't that big a deal for her.
Caroline,
contrary to what I thought, Sue was fine.
She did say, didn't she, that she wasn't sure Sue knew it was quite as bad as it was. But
She might not have been able to lean over enough into the well to see her reflection in the water. Otherwise, she might have had a different take on it. Good deal. Thanks, Rashmi. Next up, we got a call from Nora.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It's Nora. Wow. All through the episode, I'm going, doesn't matter, Genevieve, you're out. Doesn't matter. Don't care what you're saying. You're out. And I had full confidence in the 4 women to know that their only strength was this: 4-3. 4 votes to 3 votes. 4-3. Okay? Suddenly, Andy comes back from his little lunch, and I'm still thinking, well, they understand it's 4-3, and they're 4-3. They'll never split the vote between Genevieve and Sam. They know that 4-3 is the answer to everything, right? 4 votes to 3. There's no way they're going to fall for Andy's stuff. And I'm watching Andy's face as he's talking to Caroline and Teeny, and those were the 2 that fell for Andy. Those were the 2 that couldn't spot Andy lying. And, it occurred to me that when you teach inner city high school, as I did, especially English, you become an expert in liar spotting and someone lying in your face, and how you just do. You're not looking to become a liar expert, but you do as a teacher. Stop the average teacher in the street and ask them, are you good at spotting liars? And they will tell you, I didn't know I was going to have this skill, but it's pretty well 100%. So Andy works his way with Teeny, and here's where I despaired. My first moment of despair that the 4 wouldn't prevail was when Teeny said, oh, well, sure, I don't mind since we can throw a vote Genevieve's way too, just one single vote. And she nominated herself. Obviously, we didn't get to see that, but they cut that out of the edit. But we saw at the end, that's what happened. Is she, sure, Andy, I'll become the lone Genevieve vote. No,
there were 2.
Remember? 4-3. 4-3. That was the whole entire important thing to not forget. 4-3. So she caved, and that earnest face of Andy's as he's working you really hard and lying in your face. And then I thought, well, the last person there who's going to disappoint me is going to be Caroline. Wrong. Andy's lying worked on Caroline too. She voted Genevieve. So you've lost everything now because your entire strength was 4-3. Remembering those numbers. Don't split the vote. And I would just love if in her post-game interviews, if Caroline could explain what made her vulnerable to that lie, to trusting Andy. They had all said they would get Andy out after Genevieve and Sam. So I don't know, maybe it's age. Maybe it's that Caroline and Teeny were never teachers and then didn't have the liar spotting superpower, but very sad. And thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Nora. Good job. It's in the Caroline interviews. She just wanted to give Andy something, and because of that, because she didn't want to hurt his feelings, he didn't get his way in the prior vote when he was targeting Genevieve when they took out Kyle. So they wanted to give him something back for that.
Well, and they did. She gave him her game.
Yeah, she did. She sacrificed herself unknowingly. Although she said she had the tingle. It was like the first time where she felt something was off at one point during the tribal council. But she held to her conviction and was rewarded for that. Thanks, Nora. Next up, we got a call from TitoBurrito.
Hello, Joanne, Stacy, and all of you other Fire Survivor fans out there, because fire is life. And if your life's not on fire, what are you doing? So yes, I haven't left feedback in a bit, and I've had some time to ruminate on Andy, and unfortunately, he gives me a smarmy vibe. He has the energy of holier than thou in terms of intellect, and then is mad when people are not reciprocating or don't understand what he means, but now people are seeing his value. Unfortunately, I don't mean to put it on Andy like that, but that's just a vibe I get. I don't even have a winner pick this season, because honestly, anyone can win, and I would be kind of happy. I've had a great time this season, and I'm just going to keep it short and say, hope everyone else is having as great a time as I have. Thank you.
Excellent.
Right.
Next up, we got an email from Ed in Milwaukee. Joanna, Stacy, I'm not cheering for Andy, Sam, or Genevieve, but but I have to admit that Operation Italy is among the biggest and most successful moves in the history of the show. Each one of them executed their parts to perfection. Andy was able to convince the 4 Women Alliance that he was totally loyal to them. He told them the lie that Sam and Genevieve tried hard to pressure him with wine and to dine him, and it rubbed him the wrong way. He also dropped the hint that Genevieve may have an idol. Genevieve made an excellent fake idol and flashed it to Teeny to make her believe she had the idol, and Sam falsely told Genevieve to play her idol just before the votes were read. That was so perfect right there. Sam's move sets up the stage that Sue, Teeny, and Rachel might still believe that Genevieve still has an idol. The deceptive fake idol play reminded me how in Heroes vs. Villains, Rupert put a rock in his pocket, leaving some to believe he had an idol. For several weeks, I have felt that Andy is a bit like David Wright. Both of them started the game as very weak players, but ended up dominating the game in later stages. It should be noted that the 4 Woman Alliance, and Caroline in particular, were cocky, and their cockiness made it easier to execute Operation Italy. Caroline acknowledged in post-game interviews that she encouraged Rachel not to play her block a vote. I wonder if part of the reason that Andy flipped was because he thought that he had no chance of going forward as the one man in the 4 Women Alliance.
He didn't.
I also wonder what will happen next. What will happen if Sam wins immunity? How will the advantages be played? Will the Woman Alliance split or reorganize? Stay tuned. Indeed. You got that right, Ed. Stay tuned.
You know what this reminds me of? This Operation Italy. Reminds me of Micronesia when the ladies convinced Eric to give up.
You can put it on that level? Wow.
I am.
Okay.
Because it worked. Well, maybe not quite on that level, because they talked him into it.
Yes.
They really manipulated him more than, what was going on here. But that's what it reminds me of, is that kind of move.
That level of, or that category of move, yeah.
For me, that level of surprise, that what? What?
No way. Will he do that?
That did not just
no
happen.
way.
Oh, no.
Will they do that? Yeah.
That's what it takes me back to, is Micronesia.
Well, it'll be in the history books alongside it. Good deal. Thanks, Ed. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. I'm literally at the library with the family right now. We just went to Charlie's first basketball game. We went running this morning, and I thought, I'm going to remember my feedback in time. And then I just realized maybe you're running late today. So just wanted to drop a quick thought. Yeah, I thought this was actually a good episode. I just really liking watching the mechanics of these personalities this time, because I do think Genevieve is kind of a relatable, I think I said that last week, it is a relatable sort of experience for a viewer, because we're always like, what kind of a player would I be? Would I be the player or the person, or would I be able to combine those or whatever? But yeah, Rachel looking better and better, Sue looking worse and worse. I think that Caroline didn't really have a prayer in the finals, so I honestly just not really sorry to see her. Just the way she smiles and nods at people, it just seems so AI. It's uncanny. It's weird. So we just need to start getting used to the idea of Andy in the finale. Okay, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be, and they gave him a really rough start in the edit, and I think that they did that on purpose, just because they're trying to show at least a really as broad improvement as possible. So I don't know, I wouldn't hate to see him there. I'd like to see how he presents himself. I think that'll be interesting. Teeny really kind of destroyed her presentation this week. I think that was a really, really bad look, and I know she's just young and emotional, but that was not good. Yeah, I just wanted to point out, like you were saying last week, Jeff likes Kyle because it's like a family show. It's good for kids. They want younger viewers, and you're absolutely right. My kids are still pretty bummed he's not there when he showed in the previously on there. Oh, and they were kind of lamenting the loss, but they still really enjoyed this week. Some exciting challenges, and yeah. And I said, you know what? I think Rachel's going to win. I think she's going to win. I think she's going to save herself this week. So, yeah, 2-part finale, which means one more episode and then the finale. Right? I don't know why they're calling it for finale, but we will find out what happens next. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Thanks, Drew.
Well, they basically needed an extra hour to tell the rest of the story for the season.
I guess so, huh? Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what it boils down to, is an extra hour.
Yes, where the finale is normally 3. Now we've got a total of 4 hours split over 2 episodes.
Right.
2 hours. Good deal.
Extra week, because usually week 13 is it.
Yeah. Thanks, Drew. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanna and Stacy, it's David in Pittsburgh. Well, I'm here with a balmy 26 degrees, and at least I'm not 2 hours north of here in Erie, where thanks to the lake effect, they had 6 feet of snow and are now expecting another foot this weekend. So I hope you're a little bit warmer than I am right now. Of course, everybody's going to be talking about Operation Italy. I have to say this was probably my favorite episode of the season. I liked the way they filmed it. It was just like a heist movie. They talk about the plan, that they're going to put it in effect. They show reactions to whether people believe them or not. Then they run through all the things that could go wrong with the plan, and even have one of the members of Operation Italy saying there are more ways that this could go wrong than go right, and then they show how it came to fruition. It was a great episode. I love seeing that. I also love the way the episode showed us how the game has changed people. Genevieve with her wall up, Sam originally leading his group, and showing how they both are now more vulnerable and realizing that they need to change, even if it's too late to change in the game, that they have come to that realization. And then on the opposite end, Teeny, who's been likable throughout the season, we don't think she's got a chance to win. And then she shows her entitlement and kind of childish behavior. Hey, Teeny, come on. Even if Sam took you, were you going to not vote him out this episode? So I love the way it went. I love the 3 at the sanctuary and the plan that they came up with. But in playing the long game, where does that leave everyone for the next 2 episodes? I don't think, in spite of the fact that Andy pulled off this maneuver, I would think he'd be the big target right now. So I'm going to assume that with Rachel having an immunity idol and Sue having an immunity idol and nobody else knows it, and that Rachel can block a vote, I'm seeing Genevieve and Andy going out the next 2. I'm not sure in what order, but that's predicting how things will go in an unpredictable season. Oh, and once again, I couldn't figure out what Andy wrote on his vote out for Carolyn. Was it a Hawaiian word? If so, I tried to look it up and couldn't find it. If anybody knows, let us know. Looking forward to getting to the final, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks,
yeah, we
David.
wondered that too, and
yeah, we were
have
studying
no
it
idea.
after when we were rewatching and getting our notes ready for the recap show, and didn't come up with anything either. Thanks, David. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and that was an incredible episode of Survivor. In a season of great episodes, that's probably the best. I mean, Letters from Home, great, but the emotional impact of that, always compelling, and then just the editing of the Operation Italy was so fun, so great, and the fact that it worked is one thing. If it was just all of this for Sam to go, then it's all right. I mean, it was fun, but come on, go. Why'd we do all of that just for Sam to go? And that's what I was thinking was going to happen, but it delivered. It was that was great. Even though I lost a save point on Caroline, totally worth it. I've accepted my fate. I'm gonna have to sing a song, but hey, it's worth it. That's great. That was awesome. And I'm very happy that Rachel won immunity again, won immunity so that she couldn't be the one that was blindsided, because I do want Rachel to be the winner of this season. I love that it's shaping up to not be like a boring win, and it's not just that alliance of 5 quote-unquote underdogs against those 3. I still want Rachel to win, but I'm happy that there's more adversity for her to get to the end and win than just like a complete steamroll. Super compelling, super fun episode. Some great moments in there. And honestly, I mean, Genevieve and Sam had to do a lot of heavy lifting to make this work too, but Andy's kind of the MVP of this episode. He's the MVP. And this is the second really big play he's made, because it was pretty much him that got Sierra out. And he did it here again. And I'm telling y'all, the same thing I've been telling my family. I watch with my family every week. And every week, y'all, I don't know. I wouldn't count out Andy. He's not playing bad. He had one bad episode. And everybody's, all right, he sucks. He's got no shot. But he does. He's playing really well. He has a really good game. Not my first choice, but Andy has proven himself since episode 1 to be a really good Survivor player. And I think we're all blinded by episode 1. But look at the entire rest of this season. Andy has had a really solid play. And I think it's pretty arbitrary and reductive of us to just sit here and go like, he doesn't have a shot just because of that one episode. I mean, it's going to be tough because I do think there's going to be some jurors that are pretty upset with him. But if he can sell it, I think he's got a fair shot. Plus, if Mike Gabler can win Survivor, anybody can win Survivor. Except Sue. She cannot win Survivor. Andy can, though. And I think... I don't know, y'all. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm just going to say it. I wouldn't be surprised. like I said, not my preferred outcome, but... I think it's a high possibility. I think it's a high possibility. Like, come on, guys, open your eyes to the possibility. Don't just be blinded by episode 1. If Andy wins this thing, you gotta look at the full rest of the season. Come on now. But yeah, that's all I got. I will see you all next time.
But you would be really surprised if Sue won.
Well, certainly.
So there's that too.
Can't see how that's possible. So yeah, I think we would all be really surprised if Sue won.
It made me nervous when he said that.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
That she couldn't possibly.
Yeah, the Gabler reference may be more apt than would initially. It would appear to be, in the sense that one of the things that really helped Gabler was when he pointed out how he was actually behind a big move that one of the final 3 presented. And they could rug pull Andy pretty easily on this. Maybe not so much, I don't know how they might minimize the Sierra one, but it took a tribe to get Sierra out. It wasn't solely him.
He gets credit for the idea, for sure, with me. But what's the jury going to believe? If Sam and Genevieve did not back that up, even if they're on the jury,
right?
Or
like
even
Genevieve
if they're
said,
not,
yeah. Well, and
who's going to buy it?
Caroline and Rachel say, "Hey, if we weren't just taking pity on you, there's no way that happened. So, hey, congrats, you got a pity win. Take that." I think that would totally rug pull him. It might even spiral him.
It might, but I don't think she would actually do that.
You don't get the
seem
sense
like
that Caroline would
no.
do that, because she would.
I don't think she would.
Yeah, that might hurt him.
Teeny might go there.
Well, Rachel might do it in a very diplomatic way, and she could do it by giving Caroline the credit for it. Mm-hmm. It was Caroline that convinced me, Andy. It wasn't you. She wanted to do something nice for you.
Sue could say as well, no, that would not have gone down had Caroline not insisted I not play my idol for her.
Yeah.
Or insisted that Rachel.
They would basically go down the line and say that up to him. And now that I have that bit of information from Caroline's interviews, it frames it in a different way. I'm not sure how far he can go on it.
But, whether he was acting or that's who he is, it worked. It worked on them to give him that, and it cost them.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
It absolutely cost them, and it was their choice.
Well, that's how you minimize it, too. You give him credit for it, but then say, but look, this is what was really going on.
Right.
We didn't do it for you. Thanks again, Parker. Next up, we got a call from Pat.
Pat.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pat from the highway. I'm going through Amarillo, Texas right now. So back when you all were having your move, I was thinking about you guys because I drive a truck from Missouri to California and back every week. And so I kept watching for you two along the interstate, but never did see you. Or at least if I did see you, I didn't know who I was looking for. So anytime you take a trip across country, just watch out for me. And speaking of you guys moving and being gone, it made me think back to a great 80s song by Cinderella. You don't know what you've got till it's gone. And that's how I felt while you guys were on your hiatus. So some feedback. So for the positive, this episode was great. I couldn't believe that those 3 pulled it off. It was pretty amazing to see, and I had no clue at Tribal Council who was going to win or come out on top. And this time, I didn't mind being left in the dark or guessing by CBS and the producer, because it was amazing. It kept me definitely on the end of my seat, waiting to see what happens. Unfortunately, I don't think one of those three are going to win. I don't think Sam has a chance, or that other girl, what's her name? Oh, yeah, Genevieve, kind of like the dirty girl says, what's her name? I don't think they have a chance, and I don't think Andy has a chance either. I think it's all Rachel's to lose at this point. So for some negative, Sue, she just freaks me out. She's disgusting looking. She's so dirty and nasty. It just is hard to look at. But then her Botox and expanded features also just don't look good. And speaking of that, am I the only one that's really scared whenever she's doing a challenge to where she has to crawl on her face and her body, that I'm scared that some of her various body parts could explode in the process? I don't know. It's probably just me. But I really do worry about that every episode during a challenge. And then speaking of negative, Teeny, I've always had a feeling throughout the whole season, underneath her smile, there's an angry person lurking. And it really came out this episode. Even if Sam would have taken her on the challenge, it wouldn't have changed her vote. So I really don't like all that anger that, he didn't take me, and well, he didn't take 4 people, but that's how the game is, and you should know that going in. Yes, I know it sucks to not get your letters from home. Maybe you should try harder and win a challenge and not rely on getting picked. So, speaking of negativity, I really am tired of the man-hating that has been going on. I don't know, it seems like the last 6 or 7 seasons of Survivor. I know in the past, Jeff has been accused of being against women or being sexist or whatever, and maybe this is CBS trying to correct that, but I just get tired of the man-hating. Every season, people that call into our show or on the internet is always about all the girl alliance. Oh, we need an all-women's alliance. We need an all-women's alliance to gang up on the men. And that's fine, I guess, but it gets old. And then also me being a man, I think, if I called in and said, hey, we need an all-guys alliance. Let's get rid of these women. Why can't the guys gang up? I feel like I would be vilified. I just am tired of the double standard that, yes, it's okay to have an alliance. It's okay to have an alliance with men or women or even of your own color. But I just feel like as a man, I'm not allowed to say that. And I wish it wasn't that way. And I know it will be, and that's fine, but that's just me complaining. But after saying all that, Survivor is still the greatest show ever created. I'll always watch. I'll never miss an episode. And Joanne and Stacy, thank you for all you do. Missed you guys while you were gone, definitely. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, or however you celebrate. Remember, hug your family, love your family, hug your friends, and tell your friends you love them. Because, sadly, we are all going to be gone someday. Thank you.
All right, Pat. I have to share something with you, and that is I tried to call you. I didn't get an answer, and then Stacy kind of said I was being silly, and I was like, well, I really want to ask Pat. He's a truck driver, and I wanted to, and even if he's like, well, he doesn't work for a moving company that we know of, and I'm like, well, he might. We don't know. And so anyway, I did try to call, and then I didn't get you, so I didn't call back because I was like, well, but I had thought, well, but he's on the road all the time. Maybe he at least knows what moving companies are good or bad, or he chats with them at truck stops or, whatever. Maybe he has some information for us because we didn't know who to choose. It was, moving across country has certainly changed in the 40 some odd years since I did that. So Yeah, it was a whole nother ball game. And I kept saying, well, maybe he does work for a moving company and we could use his company and he could drive our stuff across the country. Or
Yeah,
something.
you had a whole story worked out in a matter of minutes.
Well, it's the same thing I do with Survivor. I have this whole thing in my head. What if he is with the moving company? And but again, he doesn't drive all the way across the country and back. So now we know that, but still.
But we went through Amarillo.
Yeah, we did.
And so it sounds like you're on 40, and we definitely came through.
Yep, we were on 40.
It's been a big part of our time until we got to Memphis. We were on I-40 after we dropped down into Southern California. So there's a good chance.
California?
Yeah.
From Memphis?
No, I said that's where we got on I-40.
Oh, that's where we got on it. I thought
Yeah.
you were talking about where we got off.
I was, and then I talked about where we...
Okay, I missed that little part.
There's a good chance we passed each other on the road. That's unless you were driving at night. We tried to limit our driving at night.
But anyway, we thought of you too, and sorry I missed you.
Yeah. Good stuff. And yeah, we're in this big period of overcorrection. I know what you're talking about, Pat. And yeah, it does seem that way. And people who really understand how things work know that it's not the gross generalization that things are often made out to be right now. So this too will pass.
I can tell you as a woman, if I were to say, I would really like to see a women's alliance that would last. What I mean by that is not anything against the men or mixed alliance at all. It's like, can't we ever have a group of women that can work together and stay with it? Because we time and time again, women seem to not be able to do it. So it has nothing to do with the whole men thing in my head. Now, that may be the case for other people. I don't know. But in my head, it's like, I would just like to see women be able to really work with each other and hang in there together, because it doesn't happen.
The Black Widow Brigade set the bar so high.
Yeah.
And little did we know at that point, even in 17 seasons in, how difficult it is to pull together an alliance like that. And when the people in any alliance are recognized that they are all of like mind and similar capability in their perception of how the game's to be played and what is not of strategic value, they immediately recognize each other as the biggest threats, and then say, I've got, and in the new era, it's all about threat elimination, as we've talked about a lot this season, as the castaways have talked about in this season. So yeah. Anyway, it'll pass. Thanks, Pat. Next up, we got an email from Ryan.
Hello. What a good episode. First, I want to give a shout out to my good friend Aubrey, who told me about the podcast and Fantasy League. It was her birthday this week. Happy birthday. We watch Survivor as families each week and have done so for years. That's awesome.
Yeah.
On to the show. This episode shows a lack of control for Teenie. She has lost sight of Survivor 101. Check your ego at the door. You can play with heart, but when a vote does not go your way, you have to be able to let it go. Sam showed this when Sierra was voted out.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Andy is growing on me. If you take out those first 3 days, he has played a very good game.
Yeah. That might be his pitch, too.
Yeah. Survivor is all about adapting. Teenie has not shown this whatsoever. She plays with hate versus strategy. It gives me vibes of Little Rascals, founding members of the Man-Woman-Hater Club.
He-Man-Woman-Hater Club.
Oh, He-Man-Woman-Hater Club. Great vote. Great work by Operation Italy. Great blindside. Final 3. Andy, Sam, and Sue. Love the podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an
All
interesting
right,
final
thank you,
3.
Ryan.
Yep, good deal.
Wherever you're from, you'll have to tell us where you're from.
Yep. Next up, we got a call from Shahin.
Well, that was just one of the craziest things I think we've ever seen, and I think that both of you have much more experience in this space, so I'd love to hear from you. But in your interviews with players from the past, when you were able to do interviews Joe and Stacey, did you ever see any moves that didn't come to fruition where players have discussed it with you where, we did this scheme, 2 or 3 of us were going to pull this amazing move, but just never happened or never got captured and production cut it because it just didn't come to fruition? I wonder if that's happened because my feeling is that every season you'll see a scheme like this get formed, but it never comes to fruition, so production would have to make so many cuts to be able to piece the correct story for us in that episode. I think in this case, we just got so lucky and so blessed to see that it coming to fruition. We got Operation Italy, and the architect of that was Andy, ultimately, and to be able to get the buy-in from Genevieve and Sam, it was just excellent. And I mean, the buy-in was easy because they're on the bottom, but Andy's got this unique position where he's able to flip, and I wonder how he spins it, because at the end of the episode, at the end of Tribal, is I'll explain, and I don't know how he's going to get away with it, albeit I wonder if he still has agency, because as Sol pointed out at the end, is Andy's flipped again, and it seemed like from the tone of how he said that, it was more the case of like he's got no agency and he's pulling bad moves and it's against the main block. Because I wonder if that group of 4 is well liked by the jury, and that Sam and Genevieve and whatever move that you play with those 2 would be looked at against you, especially in the final 3, because we've got to recognise the majority of that group is going to probably end up on that jury. So you've got to be able to do something if you're Andy to be able to persuade them. And I also feel day 1 for him was such a traumatic experience that everyone that saw it has had this opinion of him, and it's just been a burden. But yeah, I'm not sure if we're getting a winners edit anymore, or if we're still getting a 0 vote final 3 edit. I'm really confused, but yeah, I really enjoyed Sam's gameplay and being able to, him and Genevieve being able to get along with the plan. And I feel bad for Caroline, but look, I don't think we lost a lot in Caroline. She was a good player and would have been a worthy winner if she had made a few moves, but I think she played it safe. And it's a good destabilizing move now. I think if we had these 2 pairs that were coming in towards the end, and Sue being the pivot between these 2 pairs, if you will, creating these pairs has kind of broken everything up a little bit. I'm not sure who's going to win still. It's really confusing, and I did not respect Teeny's gameplay at all, and the way that she blabbed on. It was just kind of unseemly. It's kind of grimy. Yeah, not a fan, but excellent episode once again. Amazing season. Has to be up there top 10 for me if you can categorize them. So yeah, thanks for all you do. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Shahin. Yeah, there's absolutely been times in the interviews, even if you dig into the interviews here, even in the new era, there was a sequence of, I can't remember the exact specifics, but it was with Omar and Jonathan. They had an advantage. Omar. Yeah. And that they had, do you remember that? It wasn't shown. It didn't come to anything. I forget. But anyway, there was this sort of an elaborate sequence, kind of like what you're talking about, even in the new era.
Well,
that I can think of an example.
There's so many things that,
we would hear about, didn't have a payoff in the end. It wasn't enough. It didn't work in support of the main story in the winner and the end and what they were trying to tell in terms of the edit. So there'll be parts of challenges that get dropped, or every once in a while a challenge you don't even see that occurred.
Yeah, and I remember in Malcolm's first season, he was quite perturbed, I think, that they showed him as so
positive,
nice. So positively and so nice.
You got a hero's edit.
He wanted to be a little bit of a villain too.
Yeah.
And he said, I gave them plenty of material to use for that. And they didn't do it. They didn't choose to use that edit of him. And so what they choose to show us, they are telling the story. There's so much more that goes on that could be told. But, they have to. This is also a TV show, and they have to make it interesting the way they feel it will be interesting. And so there's so much we don't get to hear about.
I think that challenge that they didn't show was even in the new era too. There was an example of that. I just can't remember the specifics because again, it doesn't end up having a big impact, and so yeah.
So the story doesn't. It may among them. That's why they bond together so much. A lot of them do, even if they didn't get along on the show. They bond because nobody else really knows what they went through. except the people that
Yeah,
did.
I'll give you a tiny example from Carolyn's interviews this past week. She said her and Rachel were actively working together, and that she was getting along really well with Rachel because they were able to have deep strategic discussions, similar to the ones that Gabe described having with Caroline, that also did not get featured in the least, where they would spend portions of the night going through scenarios and, thinking how to play this, how to play that, what's the perception of, this person, if we make this move and they make that move, how are we going to counter that, and all those kinds of things. And, we didn't get to see really any of that relationship with Rachel.
Well, because, when they're choosing what show, it's like, but they know she gets voted out.
Right.
And so it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So they don't spend time on that.
Yep.
They only have so much time, and they have to limit it to the end game.
Yeah, even with the 90 minutes, it's not enough. Thanks, Shahin. Next up, we got a call from Kim.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Kim from North Carolina. Are we being Gablered? I really don't want Andy to win, but I feel like we got the same thing with Gabler, where he looked like such a doofus. We thought there's no way he could win, and then he ended up winning. Yep. Andy can speak the words that end up on TV, so maybe he is going to be the ultimate winner, although what he's calling strategy also is unreliability, or you might call it flipping. But at some point, that kind of chaos can freak everybody else out, and they send you packing. If he's at the end with maybe Teeny and Sue, or Sue and Sam, I think Andy could make the argument for the win. Rachel wins if she makes it all the way to the final 3, and I think Genevieve could win if she's not up against Rachel. Sam would beat Sue and Teeny. I won't make any predictions because, except for the first week, I haven't gotten any predictions correct so far. So I'll just say that if I had to pick a team that the winner would come from, I would say it's going to be the yellow team. Who knows? I can't wait to see what happens. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. I like that. The doofus edit.
I don't think I've gotten a vote off this season, have I?
No. You were just lamenting that your score dropped to be even with mine after this last round.
Oh, that's true, because I had a 3-point week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I enjoyed that. Thanks, Kim. I'm going to look for opportunities to use that in the future. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy and all the Survivor Superfans. It's Justin from snowy Michigan here. First of all, I owe Andy a huge apology. I haven't called in a while. I've been loving this season, but I really ripped on Andy those first 2 episodes, and he rebounded in a way I don't think we've seen. I don't think you can compare it to past Survivors anymore. It's different from David Wright. It's different from Aubrey. The way he has gathered his mindset and moved forward in this game is actually incredible, and it's time to give him credit, even though I had been holding those first 2 episodes against him. So let's get right to it.
Me too.
Actually, first, I do have just a quick aside. I took exception to Teeny's man-hate comments. I think this is a double standard. If a man would go on Survivor and say, I'm a woman hater, they would probably get kicked off the show at that point. So I just don't like the double standard of hating people because of who they are. Like Sue hated Kyle, but it was for reasons that Kyle had control of. Kyle called them names. Kyle talked too much. There was things that Kyle did that Sue didn't like. Teeny just saying, oh, I hate him because he's a good-looking man, that to me is a line that shouldn't be crossed. I don't care which group of people you say you hate. It shouldn't be for reasons you're born with. Let's move on to the fun stuff. This great game. First of all, this Operation Italy, amazing foresight and faith in a plan that wasn't foolproof. It was perfectly executed on every level by all 3. The one point that I didn't consider during the episode that I reflected on after is Sam and Genevieve had to lose that immunity for this to work.
Right.
So they had to somewhat throw the immunity or not go pedal to the metal, because if one of them would have been safe, then you just pile on the other one.
Excellent point.
It wouldn't have worked. Sue could have and should have used her idol. I don't know what she's waiting for. Again, good acting at Tribal Council, because if Genevieve would have gotten up to reveal the fake idol, Sue probably would have gotten spooked and played it for Caroline. But what is Sue waiting for? She's just going to use this in a boring vote either next week or the week after to save herself when she's not in trouble because she hasn't done anything. I mean, you got to make a move, Sue. Like, you're just clogging up the otherwise great cast right now. Looking forward to this great set of episodes coming up, this double boot next week. So my theory is Sam wins immunity. Genevieve has the fake idol still. Sue just plays her idol on herself to blow it, probably. Rachel uses her block vote and idol, so she blocks Andy's vote, and then she uses her idol because there's going to be hysteria. So that leaves Teeny and Andy vulnerable. Teeny votes for Andy. Andy goes home. That's my theory for next week. So then that leaves Sam and Jen still against Rachel, Sue, and Teeny the next week. One of them wins immunity. It makes it easy. You get rid of Sam or Jen. That's the way I see it going. So I still think Rachel is safe. Unless somehow Sue and Teeny want to become players and take out Rachel. That's the way I see it going. So the final four would be Rachel, Sue, Teeny, and then Jen and Sam. Jen or Sam in this scenario. So I still give Rachel the edge to win this whole thing, and I kind of hope she does. But if Sam, Jen, or Andy win, I would be happy with that. I just don't want Sue or Teeny to win. I'm sure there's going to be lots of opinions and theories, and I'm looking forward to it. Take care.
Fantastic. Thanks, Justin. Yes, Sam, I think he tweeted to that effect, too. If one of us would have won immunity, this wouldn't have worked. He's basically saying, yeah, we chose not to win immunity in this case.
Okay.
Maybe. It could just be some after the fact.
Yeah. Well, they kept saying it all depends on the split vote. If they can't get the split vote, doesn't work, then Crumb's going home.
Right. So maybe that explains some of the fiascos that we saw, the complete inability of anyone else to land one of those.
It was so complicated.
One of those balls.
To get to where they got, but on both sides, on all players, all 7.
Right.
Except Teeny, I don't know. I'm not sure that Teeny was just angry and doing an angry vote. So, but Caroline and Sue and Rachel had things to do to contribute to, but chose not to.
Good stuff. Thanks, Justin. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, that was an entertaining episode, though the members of the Women's Alliance would probably disagree. My other observations. Sue made a fire when they returned from last week's tribal. Foreshadowing. Becca Beach, where bad things happen. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one. Caroline and Sue have the skills to win. Caroline has the brains. Sue is a strong goat she can ride. Dirty goat. Genevieve activated her emotion chip to apologize to Andy. It took 26 seasons, but we finally know what a dirt squirrel looks like. Teeny putting someone on the jury who doesn't think you're a threat won't end well. Once again, the Survivor gods showed their whimsy by having the target win immunity. I'm getting a teeny bit tired of a certain person's angry narcissistic entitlement. Jeff listed ingredients in the reward feast. He forgot to mention monosodium glutamate. I've got to know, in the reward challenge, who made seal noises at the first obstacle? I don't remember that. We got to go back and look for that. Seal noises?
I remember hearing Caroline grunting and thinking, wow, they're using audio from their individual mics for these noises, because there's no way they captured that clearly any other way.
I remember that because Genevieve was talking to herself. I remember, some of those being picked up, but I don't remember seal noises.
And we rewatched it.
Yeah. Sam flew through the net crawl like he had been through basic training. Yeah, that was just phenomenal. Jeff is sneaky, hiding the letters from home twist until after the challenge. Yeah. Sam is a seasoned vet of sanctuary, oregano, pepper, or salt. Genevieve explaining why she detached emotionally sounded like a supervillain origin story. Teeny isn't a man-hater, but she plays one on TV. And I saw something that says she was getting major flack this week in social media. Like, it was really heavy. Genevieve's hubby is sure she has friends. Now we know he's not psychic. The legendary all-woman alliance. That didn't last long.
Rarely does.
This wasn't necessarily a fault of their own, although indirectly maybe. If you have a bad day, slow down unless you drive a race car. Caroline can see the money. I have trouble reading my keyboard. Most heists aren't planned while sitting in beanbag chairs. Yeah, I think Genevieve noted that too. Sam channeled his theater experience. I didn't know playing Tree Number 2 required that much range. That's brilliant. Genevieve needed more hands to make her fake idol. Monkey feet would have worked too. In a nod to the Italian feast, the immunity challenge included pizza paddles. Andy's afraid that Genevieve has an idol. I'm afraid of clowns. I appreciated the levity and brevity of the falling ball blooper reel. I wonder if HR spoke to Jeff about punching Rachel in the arm. He did give her a fist bump on the way out after he put the necklace on. Teeny's "Am I gathering what I'm gathering?" is worthy of Yogi Berra. Caroline felt validated when she saw her name the first time. Less so after 3 more. Yeah, she went into total shock face.
Yeah.
Sue's what's-her-name quip demonstrated her goat bona fides. That's a fantastic way to capture that. Given her bag-searching prowess, Caroline will never work for the TSA. It was appropriate that Operation Italy gave someone the boot. That's nice. I like that. That's a very dad joke because Italy looks like a boot. I'm with you. Saul's "Andy flipped again" doesn't bode well for Andy if he makes final tribal. Someone will sleep with the fishes. It probably beats sleeping on bamboo. This week in Jury Drip, Saul rocked native garb, a Bula shirt, and a Sulu wrap. Yeah, Gabe did too. And I thought they were just mimicking Sierra, but okay, maybe it was native. Genevieve said Teeny uses emotions as a weapon. Her eyes shoot lasers too. I'm not sure I want a sole survivor who fell for a fake idol gambit. Note to Teeny, don't ask for someone's opinion if you don't want an honest answer. Yes, that is so true. She just had not anticipated Genevieve was going to hit her with that. Next time, the finale, part 1. Are we getting an extra hour because there's an immunity challenge at 3 and a final 2? Interesting. I do not know the answer to that. Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanna and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Killed it. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Survivor friends. Jeremiah here, and what a spectacular episode that was. Holy cow. Easily the best episode of the season. Now, I'm not going to go as far as saying it was the best episode of the new era. I think that's a little bit crazy. I think for me right now, if I had to pick one, probably be the episode where Jesse voted out Cody and in the process also took his idol. That's probably one of my favorite episodes, even though I know it meant the doom for Jesse, the person who I was really rooting for that season, but it still was a great episode. But yeah, this one was great. This Operation Italy was some pretty spectacular gameplay that obviously, yes, we have to give Andy a lot of credit here for his role, but really, it's all of them. All 3 of them had to play their parts, and clearly they all did it very well, and was able to convince the other group of people that they had to split the vote. So I thought that was very fascinating. I mean, to me, there was so many warning signs that I don't know why they didn't pick up on them. To me, if someone comes back like an Andy from that trip, you have to wonder, what is his motivation? Are we sure he's with us? I mean, I don't know. But hey, I'm here playing Monday morning quarterback. I mean, it's a lot easier for me to be able to judge what's going on from my couch than it is if I'm out there. And also, too, I have to remind myself that these people are tired and hungry and not thinking correctly. It's really, really difficult to play the game of Survivor. So at this point, the question is, how did this big move change the outcome for the season? I think the person that this might affect the most, outside of course Carolyn being voted out, might be Andy, because I don't know, and I know a lot of Survivor fans have been asking this question online, what this is going to mean for him long term for his game. What did he have planned after this? Because now looks like there's 3 versus 3. Did he actually think he would join back up with the other 3 and then just remove Sam and Genevieve from the picture at this point? Did he not think that they'd be so bitter that they wouldn't go with that idea? I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of, is he thought it'd be easy for him to move on back over, play a little Rob Cesternino, move back over and just work with them and vote out Sam and Genevieve. And maybe that's what he's hoping for. He knows that Rachel has the block of vote, so I don't know. Personally, I think this was a terrible move for Andy. But my reasoning is because every time someone makes a big move, they immediately want to get rid of him. So I think now he's put himself in a position where they're like, oh, well, he's a new big-time player. We got to get him out. So that's what I think is going to happen next week. I think 6 and 5 is probably going to be Andy and then maybe Sam or Genevieve. And that's what I'm locking in. That's what I'm going to go with, is one of those 3 people. For sure, I'm locking in Andy to go home. I think this is going to be bad for him. But we will find out next week, obviously. And yeah, that's it for me. You all take care. Until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremiah. It definitely could play that way. I can see that. That was the main thing I was wondering at the end of the episode, too. Mm-hmm. That was amazing. Now what?
Yeah, put a target on your back. But maybe if he can just, even if he goes out, making a big move, unless the jury kind of poo-poos it and deflates him over it. But hopefully not. But
no, I think he'll always have this.
Yeah.
At a minimum. Thanks, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California, and here are my thoughts on Survivor 47, Episode 12. Back at camp, Sue is talking about how Kyle called her and Caroline Tweedledee and Tweedledum. We never saw the Tweedledee and Tweedledum situation, so I'm not buying that. We should have been shown that. It makes me think that the editors are protecting Kyle in some way. I feel like they're trying to make him look too perfect. They need to show us all of the important things about each player, warts and all. No one is perfect, so I just want to see it all. I don't want to be told something that I didn't see and have that be considered something big in the game. So I just think that was an editing miss. As soon as I saw the reward challenge, I knew that this was the one that nobody wants to win. It's the bring a friend and another friend reward. Sam wins it, and I called it correctly that he would choose Genevieve and Andy. I don't know how I knew that, but I felt good in my prognosticating skills. Teeny doesn't get chosen, and boy, is she bitter about it. She lost her mind. She has been so happy-go-lucky, in a sense, up until now, and then she got so petty. It's interesting that the edit protected Kyle, seemingly, and now they're showing us the worst of Teeny. I find it interesting that we are continuing to hear about Genevieve's GameBot strategy, and this seems to be like a theme of the season. We're really getting to know Genevieve, and we're hearing so much about her strategy. If there is such a thing as a winner's edit, she is getting one. So the girls go back to camp, and they decide to make it an all-girls Final Four. This never works out, and the ultimate vote-off did that idea in. And back at the reward, Andy decides he's going to swing for the fences. Andy is interesting. He plays the game with whoever is in front of him. Andy provides us with the episode title again, and I think that's 4 for 4 now. And I enjoyed every minute of watching them put Operation Italy into action. As much as I love Rachel, I really, really wanted to see a blind side. But I was happy that she won immunity, and then I was kind of invested in Sue going, or maybe even Teeny. I did not want to see Caroline get voted out. The choice wasn't what I wanted, but the execution of it all was so great to watch. I loved it. Genevieve, Andy, and Sam went all in on this, and the payoff was awesome. I can't remember the last time I saw an episode of Survivor where I was so excited to be watching, so excited to be a fan. I'm looking forward to 2 weeks of finale, I guess, and I hope that the ending is as exciting as the beginning, middle, and end of this season has been. That's it for me. Wonderful episode. I can't wait to hear everyone else's thoughts. Till next week.
Thanks, Jen. Caroline did cover that. So did Kyle in his interviews, which were released on Monday. I didn't think to say anything about those until we've had a couple of prompts for the whole Tweedledee, Tweedledum thing. Kyle explained that's basically saying 2 people are the same, that they're like identical, referencing how Sue and Caroline were always in lockstep on everything. From that perspective, Caroline provided a little more depth to the background on that, in that on Tuku they had crafted a plan where Kyle was going to say like some schoolyard, grade school kind of disses against them to make people think that they weren't working together. And so Caroline didn't think anything of it. It never had any impact on her, hearing it come back around when Rome came and told them that. And this was also supposedly the big thing that Rome had said was so bad that he wouldn't be able to say, he would be canceled for. Anyway, there's some more explanation of that. And it was basically, that was to plan the whole Tweedledee, Tweedledum thing. But it appears that Now, Caroline didn't say this explicitly, but what appears to have happened along the way is that Sue lost track of that and started taking it more seriously.
Well, but
there were some other grade school kind of inserts.
He wrote her name down. She was already ready,
primed,
locked and loaded
from that earlier step that she couldn't let go of.
You hear what you want to hear at that point. So.
Yeah.
It was just something to add to her feelings of, I want him out.
That's my target.
He wrote my name down.
Yeah. Thanks again, Jen. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here, and I've got to say, I thought it was a really great episode. I don't really have any problems with any episodes of Survivor, but this one stood out to me, and at Tribal, I had no clue how it was going to go. I thought things were edited so well that I was truly shocked when my USB exited the game. So then, I've sort of been a teeny fan, but wow, did she fall from my graces. I'll never understand how people could think that it should be all about them and discount everyone else that you're talking to by saying that it should have been me, with the quiet part being, but not you. So yeah, sweet cute teeny has become cute and sour to me because are we supposed to believe that if Sam had taken Teeny on the reward that she would have swapped alliances? Yeah, I don't think so. And at the reward, I thought Andy was not buying into any of the camaraderie at all because he was just so quiet. And then, well, Andy decided to flip again, which did not go unnoticed by the jury. But I've got to say that he did extremely well setting things up. But some of it didn't make sense to me. Why would Genevieve tell Teeny to make sure that all of the votes should go to her when she and Teeny had a blow-up on the beach earlier, which showed Genevieve that she had lost Teeny as a possible ally? And then there were other little things, like why would Teeny suggest that they split the vote when Teeny knows for a fact, well, a supposed fact, that Genevieve is holding on to what looks like an idol. By showing her the idol, it negates the need to split the vote. Oh well. So, 2 to go next episode, huh? Well, since we're tied with Alliance members, and we have idols and advantages, I guess it's anybody's guess. I really can't say from down here in the basement, so I'm just going to end things here and hope that everyone enjoys the next episode. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Paul.
I think that Teeny didn't want to say anything because she wanted to straddle the fence because she didn't know how things would actually go. And she didn't want to
That's why she withheld the information about the idol?
Yeah, I think so. Don't you? Maybe?
That is an excellent, plausible explanation for that. And it fits with what we see in Next on Survivor, that she could open with that. Hey, I didn't say anything. And great move.
Yeah, so that she could go either way. They wouldn't want to get her out because she didn't blow anything. She didn't stop it from happening. She didn't. So in essence, she didn't really stay with the alliance. She'd already
taken
left
a step
it,
to undermine
unless Genevieve was lying, really didn't have a real idol, or she was just kind of hedging her bets, I think, so that she could go with whoever came out on top at the end of Tribal Council. So, I don't know. I don't like the particular type of game that she's playing, but, I guess she's just going what she thinks is best for her. And
she gave in to the dark side.
As far as you can.
Yes.
Or just playing her game. And I think a lot of the emotions are, I think of her as being young and immature, and she just doesn't know herself. And we've all been there, let's face it. And some of us still are at times. And that she just doesn't know herself well enough to be secure in her feelings, emotions, and how she feels about herself. And so anytime she feels like someone did something against her, it freaks her out rather than, just being confident in, oh, well, that happens, life happens, and move on. So
I wanted to check real quick. Yeah, Teeny's 24.
Yeah, you were saying she was in her 30s, and I said, oh,
well, you
no,
thought she was in she was 18 and wouldn't be able to drink at the challenge
I thought
anyway.
she was 18.
The reality just sort of splits the difference.
I thought that was about, she was acting like. Not that there's a lot of 18-year-olds and that have played Survivor that are very mature. It's not always about the age, it's about the maturity.
Yes. Well, if nothing else, she's been quite the character for this season. And the dark side turned this last episode. It'll be interesting to see how she chooses to proceed. Why are they listening to her there on the beach? How is she trying to ingratiate herself to Sam and Genevieve and Andy, or are they receptive to it while Rachel's eavesdropping on what's going on? Why is Rachel crying? Who do you think is going to get voted out? Who do you think are the two picks for this next episode?
I kind of want to go with Andy and Sam or Andy and Genevieve because, I mean, let's face it, Rachel and Sue have idols.
Mm-hmm.
So... hey, and or they could pop Teeny. You know, they could still keep their three together, maybe, according to what Teeny decided to do.
Who's they, and who are the three that you're referring to there?
Sam, Andy, and Genevieve.
Okay, sure. They could choose to stay strong.
Yeah, and they could
take advantage of cracks between Teeny, Sue, and Rachel.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that could explain why Rachel was crying out on the beach when things... all of a sudden, she truly is an underdog again.
Because I don't think anyone knows that Rachel has an idol.
Nope.
And I'm not sure anyone there remaining in the game knows that Sue has one.
Correct.
They might.
As far as we know, nobody knows.
Definitely, I don't think anyone knows Rachel has.
Right.
So,
she'll have an opportunity to save herself, and she's proven to be a challenge threat, so there's an excellent chance she could be there at the end.
And Rachel has to use the block vote. It's the last time. Why wouldn't she?
Yes.
So, of course she'll use it, unless there's some strategic
she just needs
reason she comes up with
Sue,
not to.
Right. She needs Sue and Teeny to hold strong, stick to the plan, and then they can control the outcome, because it'll be a 3-2 vote. Unless there's another advantage that comes into play. You haven't seen anything in quite a while. One of the extra scenes this week is talking about how hard Sue's working to try to find those, though. And Kyle also said that he was all over the island multiple times trying to find an advantage, and an idol just came up empty.
I kind of don't. They might have some type of advantage, but I don't think they're going to put another idol out there until one is played. And
if one gets played at 6 before the vote at 6, then there could be another one that comes in at 5.
Yes.
Yeah. Although that would really feel like too much.
But I am fully expecting 2 to be played at 6.
Okay. But they're going to get pretty rocked by this sequence of events, and then they would be of a mind of saying, well, I'm going to make sure I'm here for 5.
That's right.
I have the means. We know how bad everyone in the previous season played when it came to idols. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on this.
Yep. And, you never know what will happen if you get just that one more day or one more tribal.
It's been Sam's motto for a while now. Same with Rachel.
Right. That's right. So
I want to say a big thanks to everybody who took the time to share your thoughts and predictions today. We loved that, enjoyed it. We appreciate hearing from all of you. We also want to give a big super thanks to Tara, Erica, Chris, and Christy for your subscription donations. You keep the servers running, the bandwidth flowing. We appreciate that so much, helping with our operational costs. That's a big deal. Thank you.
And remember, if you play in JSFL, to make your Week 13 picks for 2 people voted off and 4 people who you think will still be safe at the end of the episode.
Good luck with that. Hope you got enough safes to cover it.
I do.
I do too.
I think.
Yeah. Okay, we'll be back on Wednesday with our next recap. I hope it's as exciting as this last one was.
All right. Have a good weekend, everyone.